Rain freckles the window of the little trattoria in German village, a fine gray mist that turns the glass to milk. Candlelight warms the long table, but the white cloth looks too clean, too bright, the sort of white that belongs in a hospital or a chapel. A server glides by with plates that breathe basil and lemon. Cutlery touches glass. A neat practice ting. Evelyn Hart slips out of a damp coat, folds it twice, lays it on the empty chair beside her. Her purse, scuffed but sturdy, rests on her lap. She smooths the cloth where a drop from her sleeve has darkened it to the color of bone. The stain widens the way a bruise blooms. Sienna DeLuca laughs at something Michael says. Her laughter is glossy and sure. She uses her hands when she speaks, light carving motions, the nails a quiet pearly pink. Michael, always Mike to his mother, glows with it. His eyes hold the easy faith of a man who thinks the room loves him back. At the far end, Marisa DeLuca wears a smile that lifts only the lower face. Her eyes keep inventory. Chairs, bottles, faces. She sees everything without looking like she does. It is romantic in the rain, Sienna says, and her vowel lingers. The accent moves through the room like a tune someone almost remembers. Rain is good for pasta, Mike says. He draws his napkin into his lap and throws a quick grin at Evelyn. A small boy flashes through that grin. Someone who once thought she could fix anything with a Band-Aid and a pancake. For family, Marisa says. She raises a glass. The bubbles kiss the rim and pop. Evelyn touches her water instead. The glass fogs under her breath. She wipes it with the side of her thumb. When she looks up, no one is looking at her. Voices run like a creek around a stone. Sienna leans into Mike as she talks, the back of her hand resting on his forearm, a proprietary weight that does not seem heavy to him. He smiles into it. Evelyn feels the absence more than the touch. The place on her sleeve where a child once looped his arm and swung. I love this place, Sienna says. The brick, the light. It is a good pick, Mike answers. Mom likes the chicken Francis here. They all nod polite until the server appears to clear the first plates and Mike stands. I'll bring these, he tells the server. My mom raised me right. He stacks china the way Evelyn taught him when he was 10, thumb to rim, never to plate. She feels a small hot pride push against her ribs. Then the kitchen door takes him and swings back with a soft, deliberate click. The room pulls a breath. Sienna tilts toward Marisa. Their faces change as if a shutter has dropped. The softness folds away and leaves clean lines. The language changes too. Dopo, Sienna says. After. She says it like an instruction. Dopo il matrimonio lui fa quello che diciamo. Facile. Controllabile, Marisa answers. Controllable. She rubs the stem of her glass with a thumb and watches the bubble rise. Her voice is flat. La madre non conta. Odore vecchio. Mani da lavoro. Old smell, work hands. The words land on the white cloth and sit there. Sienna's smile returns, but it is a different smile. The secret kind women use with each other when they do not bother to hide. Evelyn keeps her gaze on the candle. The flame leans, corrects, steadies. She does not lift her face. She hears the music overhead and the night traffic and the quiet rip of linen as she adjusts her napkin to cover her lap. She hears that other music, the one that belongs to a market where voices barter and the sea urges air through alleys. Napoli. Oil on her fingers. Asphodels in a cemetery that looked out at water. A page of verb tables folded into the pocket of an apron. The memory cuts clean and then seals. Marisa's laugh is low, not mirth. A small reward to herself. Tanti soldi, she says, soft and satisfied. So much money. She and Sienna do not look at Evelyn because furniture does not eavesdrop. Evelyn reaches for a napkin and writes one word in the corner with a pencil from her purse. Capisco. I understand. She folds the napkin until the word disappears and presses it flat with her palm. The server steps in with a stainless pitcher of water. Steam ghosts the metal. Evelyn breathes a mist onto it and wipes it away with 2 fingers. Her reflection returns, steady-eyed hair pulled tight. The pitcher moves on. The kitchen door opens on a practiced hip. Mike returns with empty hands and a proud smile, and the air readjusts. Sienna sits back, all open warmth again, and says, You are too sweet. She taps his cheek with 2 fingers. He laughs. He does not see his mother's hands fold in her lap, thumb tucked over thumb, as if to keep something inside. They talk about venues, flowers, a DJ who works from vinyl, a honeymoon that traces a map Evelyn could draw in her sleep. Rome with its slow, arrogant light. Amalfi too blue to be believed. Naples, Sienna says the food is honest. Evelyn drinks water. The glass fogs again and she wipes it. The cloth picks up a faint oval of moisture like a thumbprint left by air. What do you think, Mrs. Hart? Sienna asks in the tone of someone asking a kind question to a quiet child. It all looks beautiful, Evelyn says. Her voice is even. She does not hurry it. She gives it the weight of a plate set down with care. Sienna nods. She is already talking to Marisa again. English tilts into Italian and back. Evelyn eats what is in front of her. The lemon bites the butter, gives the capers pop. She knows the words that do not reach her ears. Useless, old, after, easy. She knows their clean little edges. She tucks them away like the napkin in her purse. A young couple at the next table takes a photo. The flash licks the white cloth and makes it a brighter white, a sheet on a line. Evelyn blinks the flare away. She looks at her son's hand, the one with a faint callus where a pen used to sit, and feels the ache move under her ribs again. Not envy, not fear even. Something like the feeling of missing a step in the dark. At coffee, Marisa lifts her cup by the ear as if the porcelain might squeal. Her rings catch the candle. She asks something sweet about Mike's work, and he answers in a string that sounds important. Acronyms, metrics. He is good at this. He learned to be good at things. Evelyn taught him that too. He does not look at her as he speaks. He looks at Sienna and the place where Sienna will be. They stand to go. Chairs scrape. The server brings coats that smell faintly of orange peel and wool. Sienna leans in with an air kiss that touches nothing. Warm breath, no warmth. Marisa offers a cheek that is cool and powdered. Mike takes Evelyn's coat and lifts it onto her shoulders with both hands, and for a second his fingers rest where a child's used to. It is almost enough. "Did you like them?" he asks, voice light, eyes bright with a new life he believes in. Evelyn looks at him, takes the question as it is, and turns it with care. "I am glad you are happy," she says. The words fit in her mouth. She has used them before. They hold. He smiles. They step toward the door. Rain still freckles the glass. Inside, the table waits for bussing. The white cloth is a field of rings and smudges small circles where heat held a moment and left. Evelyn reaches the door and stops long enough to see her reflection in the pane, clouded then clear, when she breathes and wipes. She turns. Across the room, Marisa's eyes are already on her. The smile is thin as glass. Behind the bar, a ring of keys settles onto a hook. Metal touches metal. A single bright click. The apartment holds the rain the way old walls hold smoke. It smells faintly of wet wool and dish soap. Evelyn sets her purse on the table, and the strap leaves a damp stripe across the wood. The clock above the stove ticks with a tired patience. A photograph in a thrifted frame shows Mike at 5 in a paper crown, his mouth blue from frosting. She touches the corner of the frame and sits. She opens a spiral notebook. The paper has a tooth that catches the pencil lead. She writes the sounds as they came, not softened, not cleaned. Controllably, tanti soldi, dopo matrimonio. The pencil moves again, slower now. She writes the English beneath each word. Controllable, so much money after the wedding. The words lie side by side like cards on a table, neat, ugly, undeniable. She breathes a cloud on the window and wipes it with the cuff of her sweater. Outside, a streetlight makes a cone of silvery rain. Somewhere below, a bus sighs at the stop and takes the corner with a groan. She flips the page and keeps writing, while the radiator snaps and settles. In the margin, she draws a small key and shades it until the graphite shines. Her phone vibrates across the table. Nora's name blooms on the screen. Evelyn answers on speaker and sets the phone face down so the room can listen too. "You home?" Nora's voice is smoky with mint tea and a lifetime of late shifts. "I heard thunder on my side. That storm find you yet?" "It found me at dinner," Evelyn says. She does not tell the whole thing at once. She lets Nora pull from her in light pieces the way a seam ripper worries a hem. The table, the rain, the way language can flip a face. Nora is quiet for a beat. Then she exhales, and it sounds like a kettle just before it sings. You need someone who knows where people hide their dirt. Not a friend, a professional. "I cannot afford one," Evelyn says. The words taste like a penny. "You can afford a conversation," Nora says. Frank Wilder still has an office over by Town and High. He worked Vice until his back gave out. He has eyes that climb inside a lie and sit there. "I do not want to fight," Evelyn says. "I know," Nora says. "Call anyway. I will text you the number. Come by tomorrow and I will put tea on. Peppermint, not the bargain bin." Evelyn ends the call and watches the screen fade to black. A drop of water falls from the corner of her coat to the floor and makes a soft sound like a tick. She writes one more line in the notebook and closes it. The pencil rolls a little and stops against her palm. The office sits over a pawn shop that sells guitars and tarnished silver. The stairwell smells like dust and coffee. The door at the top is painted the color of dried leaves and has Wilder Investigations in flaking gold. Inside, blinds level the light into stripes. A floor fan turns with a small squeak and pushes paper curls across a desk. Frank Wilder stands as she enters. He is broad in the shoulders and spare everywhere else, the kind of body that forgets to eat when it thinks. His hair is the clean gray of an iron sky. His eyes are something else, alert without being sharp, patient in the way of people who have already seen the ending and still listen for the beginning. "Ms. Hart," he says, "Nora told me you might stop by." Evelyn sits. Her fingers fold together and rest on her knee. She tells him the part that matters, the way a voice can change when it believes no one understands, the numbers, the house, the mother who counts bodies instead of blessings. Frank does not interrupt. He takes a single note now and then and keeps writing hands small. He asks for names and the place where dinner happened and the color of the ring on the older woman's hand. When she is done, he nods as if they have moved a heavy thing to the center of the room and can finally see it. "I can look," he says. "Women who make a job of this do not reinvent every detail. They carry tricks from city to city. Aliases travel. Paperwork repeats itself." He opens a drawer and takes out a small plastic case. Inside is an object the size of a lighter mat, black, featureless, except for a tiny window for a red dot. It records, Frank says, "No beep, no light if you slide this up. It likes a quiet bag. Purses are good. Drawstrings are better. Keep it still and it will hear more than you think." She takes it with both hands. It is light, almost insubstantial. She slides the switch. The click is so soft she feels it more than hears it. She slides it down again. "I do not have practice with this," she says. "You do not need practice," he says. "You need to be the person they already think you are." He sees the flash of hurt and does not touch it. He pulls a business card from a neat stack and turns it so the number faces her. "If you decide to use it and you capture anything, call me before you sleep," he says. "No email, no cloud, hand to hand." She tucks the device into her purse and stands. On her way out, the pawn shop bell rings below like a quiet chime in an empty church. She counts the steps without meaning to, and stops at the landing to wipe a smudge from the handrail with the edge of her sleeve. The bank has light like a dentist's office. The chairs are low and try to be kind. A child at the far end drops a sticker, and the mother picks it up with 2 fingers and a sigh. The number machine spits a paper tail with a small chirp. Evelyn sits and presses the folded ticket flat against her thumb. Carol Nguyen appears from behind a row of desks. Her hair is pinned into a glossy knot. She wears a name badge that has been clipped to the same place on every blouse for 20 years. "Evelyn," she says, "you look well." The words hold concern without questions. "I need a favor," Evelyn says, and lowers her voice in the way people lower their voices when they talk about health or money or faith. "I need to know if my son is safe." Carol looks at the room. 2 tellers count bills. A guard pretends to read a magazine. She leads Evelyn to her desk and sets her bag down in the knee space instead of on the floor. It is a small kindness. "I cannot show you screens," Carol says. "You know that." "I know," Evelyn says. Carol types. The keyboard is quiet. Her eyes sweep left and right as if reading a road. She writes a number on a yellow sticky note. She does not peel the note. She slides the pad as if to itch a corner. The top page shows itself for a breath. 240, then 3 zeros, then a slash, then the suggestion of an account type. She covers it with her hand. She meets Evelyn's eyes. "You did not see me write that," Carol says. Her mouth tries to smile and does not make it. "I did not," Evelyn says. Carol picks up a pen and draws a small flower on a clean sticky note and hands it to Evelyn instead. Blue petals, plain stem. Evelyn tucks the flower into her notebook and stands. She can feel the weight of the number without needing to hold it. At home, the printer coughs into motion after a long sulk. Frank's email opens with a clipped line and 2 links. One is a newspaper in Spanish with a date 3 years old. The other is a grainy photograph of 2 women whose hair is styled to belong to a different life. The names below are not the names she knows. The faces are the same under all the paint. She prints both. The paper is warm where it lands. She clips the pages together with a black binder clip and stares at the way the metal jaw bites the margin. She lays the packet face down on the table and smooths her palm over the blank back like she would calm a child. The phone rings. The number is familiar, not saved. Sienna's song-warm voice pours into the kitchen. "Hi, Mrs. Hart. I hope I'm not interrupting. We are doing a little family blessing on the morning of the ceremony. Just the women. My mother believes in tradition." Evelyn moves the phone from her ear and looks at the clock, then brings it back. "What time would you like me there?" she asks. 9, Sienna says. "At the Whitman. Suite 312. Very casual. Champagne and love. It means a lot to me that you come." "That is kind of you," Evelyn says. Sienna laughs quick and light. "We have not had enough time together. I want to fix that." Evelyn lets the silence hold a second, then says, "Me too." When the call ends, the kitchen is so quiet she can hear the line go dead. She sets the phone next to the clipped packet and stares at both until the lines blur. She takes the small recorder from her purse and turns it over in her hands. The plastic is cool. Her thumb finds the notch. She slides the switch up and hears nothing. She slides it down. She drops it into the purse and zips the top 3 inches to keep it from wandering. She pours water into the kettle and sets it on the coil. The red light comes alive. Steam wets the underside of the cupboard above. She fishes a teacup from the drain board and catches her reflection in the shine. It fogs as the kettle warms. She wipes it clear with a knuckle. On the table, the photograph of Mike in the paper crown leans forward in its frame as if listening. She straightens it and carries it to the shelf by the window. The street outside is turned to a shallow river. A neighbor's porch light flickers and steadies. The kettle finds its voice and stays there until she lifts it. She fills the cup and the steam rises sweet and clean. The old key in the front door lock sits under the chain. She lifts the chain to check the fit and lets it fall back into place. The metal touches metal. A small bright click. The Whitman lobby smells like chilled citrus and new carpet. A fountain whispers in a stone bowl. The revolving door breathes people in and out fog on the glass where wet coats brush by. Evelyn tells the desk her name takes the elevator key. Watches floor numbers glow one by one. In the mirror, the light is kind to no one. She lifts a stray hair and smooths it back. Her purse sits close under her arm. Inside, the small recorder waits. When the elevator opens, the hall is so quiet the ice in a room service bucket clicks as it settles. Suite 3A12 answers on the second knock. Marisa stands in a cream robe that floats without moving. Her hair is glossy and pinned. A ring on her right hand throws a shard of light onto the door. She steps aside and the latch takes the door with a soft click behind Evelyn's heel. Inside, a makeup artist leans close to Sienna in front of a mirror big as a door. The bulbs around it burn like a low sun. Sienna turns her face this way and that, and every angle works. Brushes tap. Powder rises, then vanishes. A dress hangs on a padded hanger like a cloud thinking about rain. Champagne sweats in a silver bucket. Mrs. Hart, Sienna says, her voice glows. You are early. I love that. Thank you for asking me, Evelyn says. She makes her tone simple. Of course, Sienna says, family. Marisa moves with the control of a dancer, not to please, but to own the floor. She pours 3 glasses and hands one to Evelyn with a nod. The flute is cold against Evelyn's fingers. She lifts it, tastes almost nothing, and sets it on the table near her knee. She sits on a sofa near the window, purse on lap, shawl across the purse. The city lies out the glass in rectangles of gray damp roofs, a dark river. The makeup artist finishes and steps back. Sienna studies her reflection. Her mouth softens. She smiles at herself. The smile is flawless. She kisses the air near the artist's cheek. Air kisses back. There is money in that exchange, and everyone hears it. Give us 10, Marisa says to the artist. The woman gathers her case and wheels it out. The door closes. The deadbolt turns. A small bright click. Evelyn feels the sound in her teeth. Her thumb finds the tiny notch through cloth. The recorder is already on. She does not reach for it. She does not move. She looks out at the window where the day tries to clear. Sienna takes her glass perches on the edge of the low table, leans toward Marisa. The timbre of the room shifts as if the music has changed. English falls away. Ha firmato tutto, Sienna says. He signed everything. She says it lightly, like weather. La casa è in entrambi I nomi 50 e 50. Marisa's mouth tilts. Quanto vale la casa? 300.000 più o meno, Sienna says, e lui ha I risparmi, 240.000. Ho visto gli estratti. Marisa breathes a small sound that is not surprise. It is satisfaction stitched thin. Bene, allora I tempi sono gli stessi. 3 mesi, trasferimenti piccoli, 5.000, 10.000. La scusa giusta ogni volta. Famiglia in Italia, Sienna says. Opportunità unica. Lui dice sempre sì. She drinks. The glass leaves a perfect crescent on the table. They do not look at Evelyn. She is a chair, a lamp, a wall. She keeps her eyes on the river. A barge drifts under a bridge like a thought that cannot be held in the mouth. The champagne in her glass sends up fine bubbles like static. La Madre Marisa says, Non conta. Odore di vecchio. Mani da lavoro. She sets her glass down and wipes an invisible print from the rim with her thumb. Non farà problemi. In noodle, Sienna answers. Useless. She says it with a little shrug that erases a person. Evelyn shifts her knee to keep her skirt from riding up. The purse stays covered. Her heart puts a small drumbeat under the room. She keeps her face soft. She breathes through her nose and counts to 7. She remembers a Naples market at dusk, the slick feel of a fish scaled at a stall, a vendor calling Bene with a smile he did not mean. Bene can mean anything. It means what you let it mean. Marisa asks the number again. Sienna gives it again, slower, like a child proud to know. 240 mila. The syllables slide and stack. They add a plan for the accounts, the order, the timing. They add a line about a lawyer who makes paper do what it is told. The words make a clean machine. Even the insults have a rhythm. They talk about Mike as if he were a kind dog who sits when the hand moves. They fit him into their sentences like a utensil. Evelyn lifts her glass and touches it to her lip. No taste, only cold. She looks at the white bridal bouquet on the table by the window petals, tight as new shells. She thinks of the white cloth on the restaurant table. She thinks of a sheet pinned to a line and the wind trying to push it free. Sienna checks the time. Dobbiamo finire, she says. We need to finish. She stands, shakes her hair into place with her fingers, looks at herself again. È perfetto. Certo, Marisa says, of course. Sienna turns back to Evelyn and paints on a sweet expression that fits her face with no seam. Thank you for coming, she says. It means a lot to me. Family is everything. Evelyn nods. I know, she says. She stands. She leaves her glass where it is. The door opens. The deadbolt retreats. The click sounds softer from this side. The hallway cools her skin. She walks to the elevator without hurrying. Down 2 floors, the restrooms wait with their learned quiet. She steps into a stall, bolts it, sits with her purse in her lap, and opens the zipper with 2 fingers. She slides the switch down. Her hand shakes, then steadies. She brings the device close to her ear so she can hear the nothing it makes. She counts up the minutes on the tiny window. 42. She closes her eyes, then opens them. She breathes on the metal wall and draws a small key in the fog with her knuckle. It fades as she watches. She rinses her hands until the water goes from cool to warm. She watches a drop gather at her cuff and fall. She steps out into the lobby and dials Frank before she reaches the fountain. He answers on the second ring. No greeting fad. You have something. 42 minutes, she says. Names, numbers, came in 3 months, small transfers. The house is in both names. Good, he says. You will be tempted to burn it down at the altar. Do not. Words are good. The money moving is better. Let the ceremony go. Keep your phone on. Keep the device safe. We will talk after the party. She closes her eyes for one count and then opens them. I hear you, she says. She puts the recorder in the deepest pocket of her purse and zips it shut. Her thumb rests on the zipper tab. She feels the weight through the leather. It is not heavy. It holds the room like a held breath. By the time the string quartet tunes and the florists step away, the sky has lifted to a pale blue that looks painted. The ceremony space in the hotel is a glass box that makes light its own decoration. Rows of white chairs face an arch wound with eucalyptus and roses. The aisle runner gleams. Evelyn takes a seat near the back. The scent of green things and peppery petals carries on the air from the coolers. Guests murmur. A woman touches up lipstick using her phone camera and catches her own eyes surprised for a second by the face that lives there. A child drums a program with both palms until a man puts a gentle hand over the small fists and shakes his head. The music changes shape. Mike walks in with a best man who looks at the floor as if the carpet might trip him. Mike's face holds a light that feels like summer. He stands tall and scans the crowd, not really seeing anyone. When his gaze finds Evelyn, it softens a degree and moves on. She feels the change as something like a tiny sun warming her skin and then stepping behind a cloud. Sienna comes in on Marisa's arm. The dress is simple and clean. The fabric moves like water around her knees. Her veil lifts and settles. Guests lean in to see better and then remember to lean back. Marisa gives Sienna to the front and steps aside with grace that looks like practice. The officiant talks in a voice meant to soothe nerves. Words about joining and keeping, words about weathering and making a home. Evelyn hears the words and watches Sienna's hands. The fingers rest just so on the bouquet ribbon. The nails are pearly pink. The cuticles are perfect. When Sienna speaks her vows, her eyes shine. Tears sit on her lower lashes and do not fall. She looks like someone who feels, which is a look, not a feeling. Mike's voice catches once, then holds. He smiles at a private image, and the smile tugs at Evelyn's ribs. She grips the strap of her purse and lets her hands calm. They kiss. Applause moves through the glass box like small rain. The white chairs hold the shape of bodies, then spring back. A server glides by the back row with a tray of flutes. Evelyn does not take one. She puts a hand on her bag and feels the outline of the recorder through the lining, a small line under her palm like a vein. At the reception, the white returns in a new form. Tablecloths lie like new snow. Candles wait in glass sleeves. The place cards stand like wedges of folded day. Evelyn's name sits at a table near the florist buckets. She likes the quiet there. The music begins with old Motown, then tips into something newer. Sienna and Mike sway and turn under a net of tiny lights. People make sounds with their mouths that mean approval. The photographer catches everything and nothing. Mike finds Evelyn for a moment. He puts his hands on her shoulders and kisses her forehead. His mouth is cool. His smile is tired and bright. "You good?" he asks. "I am," she says. He goes back into the light and the song takes him. Evelyn watches the doorways. She watches the corners. She watches the way Marisa talks to the planner with a lifted chin and a low voice. She watches Sienna smile when guests speak. It is always the same smile. It fits like a uniform. Near the end of the first set, the planner calls for a toast. Sienna lifts her glass. Her eyes skim the room and land for a fraction of a beat on Evelyn. The room clicks quiet. Sienna speaks about luck and love and the way a city can feel like a hand holding you up. She raises her glass to family. She drinks. She sets the glass down. The base leaves a wet ring on the white cloth like a small moon. Evelyn reaches to move her water, and her fingers brush Sienna's as the bride passes behind her chair. The touch is light. The eyes that come with it are not. The perfume hangs in the air orange and something bitter. Somewhere in the hallway, a lock finds its place. The sound carries through the open door a clean, certain click. Morning flattens the city into soft gray. The window in Evelyn's kitchen holds a pale film that her breath thickens and her sleeve clears. The phone vibrates on the table and shivers the spoon in her cup. "Evelyn." Carol keeps her voice small. A transfer went out. 50,000 at 917, destination offshore. The words lift the hairs on Evelyn's arms. She looks at the photo of Mike in the paper crown and then at the kettle that forgot to boil. "Thank you," she says. "I did not say anything," Carol says. Paper moves on the other end, a controlled rustle. "Be careful." The line dies. The kitchen returns to its slow ticks and the hum of the old fridge. Evelyn sets her cup aside untouched and reaches for her purse. The recorder sleeps where she left it, wrapped in a handkerchief. She closes the zipper and puts on her coat. The sleeve smells like last night's rain. The cafe in Short North has tall windows and a barista who turns every cup into a small portrait. Evelyn chooses the corner where two brick walls meet and the street is a frame. Mike comes in on a rush of colder air. He looks thinner in the face. The color sits under his eyes like a bruise. "You sounded urgent," he says. He kisses her cheek and sits. His knee jitters until he clamps a hand over it. "I need you to listen," Evelyn says. She lifts her bag onto her lap and sets an old laptop on the table. The hinge groans as it opens. Her fingers are careful with the USB. The silver stick clicks into place. She keeps her eyes on the screen while the folder loads. "What is this?" Mike asks. His tone tries to be patient and fails. 10 minutes, she says. She clicks. The cafe's sound thins to a buzz at the edges as voices fill the small space between them. Sienna close and bright. Marisa measured. Italian threads through the hum of milk steaming and the muted ring of cups. Mike frowns. "I do not speak Italian." Evelyn holds up a hand. Listen to the way she says. Not the meaning, then the meaning. They hear the numbers first clean as coins dropped on glass. 300.000, 240.000. They hear Cayman. They hear 3 months. They hear small transfers, 5,000 then 10 with a reason folded around each one. They hear laughter that has no warmth. They hear the word for useless. They hear the word for controllable. Mike sucks in a breath. He looks at her, then at the screen, then out the window as if the answer might be written on the bus stop. "No," he says, but there is a crack in the word. Evelyn pauses the file and speaks low. "He signed everything. The house 50 and 50. The savings are what you told her. The plan is small withdrawals reasons that sound right, and then gone." He shakes his head hard like water in his ears that refuses to clear. "You misunderstood. I lived in Naples," she says, 12 years. "I learned in markets and kitchens and hospitals that smell like iodine. I heard every word." His hands flatten on the table. His thumbs press so hard the skin blanches. "You never told me." "You never asked," she says. It sits between them and cools. She does not push it away. He takes his phone out and stares at it without unlocking. He looks sick and young. "I need to hear more," he says. She hits play. They sit with it until the device runs out of confession. The voices braid through the hiss of the machine and die clean at the end. In the quiet that follows, a spoon drops somewhere behind them, and the small clatter makes both of them jump. Evelyn sets a folder on the table. Newsprint photocopies photographs in grayscale. Names that do not match faces that do. An arrest note from years ago in a language he can follow. He touches the photo of Sienna with hair parted to the other side, and a suit that tries to look simple. He flips a page and sees Marisa with a softer mouth and the same eyes. He breathes through his nose like someone running. He unlocks his phone. The app glows. He moves through the screens with fast, precise motions that feel like denial and land as proof. The number sits there red and clean. 50,000 left a neat hour ago. It is a fact. It does not care what he wants. His expression loosens. The fight drains. He grips the edge of the table. For a second, the room tilts for him and rights itself. The light in the windows goes slightly yellow like evening trying the afternoon on. She did it, he says. He says it like a line from a play he never auditioned for. He looks smaller and then older. Evelyn reaches across the table. Her hand stops short of his wrist. She does not pull him. She places her fingers on the wood within reach. He covers them with his palm. His skin is cold. How long have you known? He asks. Long enough, she says. It is the truth without edges. He squeezes once and lets go. His jaw sets. The frown that comes now is new. Not confusion, not shock, something that stands up straight. Frank arrives with city wind in his coat and a second-hand briefcase that has been wiped clean too many times. He nods to Evelyn. He looks at Mike as if they have met before in a hallway and did not speak. I listened, Evelyn says. He saw the transfer. Frank takes a seat without making the chair complain. He opens the case with a click that sounds louder than it is. He lays out a thin stack of copies, a neat list of contacts, a card with a detective's name printed in plain type. He keeps his movements small. We go together, he says. Faces help. They leave their cups. They cross High Street with the light, then cut toward the courthouse where the flags are heavy and still. The lobby in Columbus PD has a bucket of plastic plants that dust cannot hold. A woman behind glass speaks through a small round hole that makes her words feel like they have to swim. A detective with a soft tie and clean shoes brings them into a room with thin carpet and a table that reflects ceiling panels. He introduces himself by last name and sits with a legal pad and the patience of a person who prefers paper to screens. He listens to Frank. He listens to Evelyn. He looks at Mike with eyes that do not slide away. They play the audio. The detective's face does not move much, but his pen slows when it hears numbers. He asks Evelyn to say each phrase in English. He asks her to describe the room. He asks where she sat. She answers plain. She keeps her voice even. He nods at odd places and jots without tearing the page. Copies of the articles spread across the table. The detective slides a finger along a margin where a date sits. He sighs once through his nose. He leaves the room. The door closes with a seal. The air conditioner clicks on and sends a thin breath down the walls. Mike sits with his hands between his knees and his shoulders held like a man waiting for a test result. He looks at the recorder on the table and then at Evelyn. He opens his mouth, closes it, then says, I am sorry for what she asks. For not seeing you, he says. The words feel raw and useful. They make him blink. She nods. The room accepts it. The detective returns with a second person and a folder. His tie is still soft. His eyes have changed. He speaks to Frank, then to Mike, then to Evelyn, careful with names. There is a short list of steps that require signatures. There is a printed form that asks for dates and birthplaces and the shape of events. There is the sound of a stapler's bite. There is a call to a bank line that waits and then answers. A voice on speaker gives a series of numbers. Another call goes to a national desk that lives in acronyms. The voices there are polite and full. Someone says the words outstanding warrant in a tone that belongs to weather reports. The room moves forward in inches. The day leaves the windows and turns them into mirrors. Evelyn sees the line of her mouth reflected upside down in the table finish and looks away. She rubs her thumb over the ridge of her ring where the gold has thinned. They are told to go home. The work will continue in other rooms. Frank squeezes her shoulder outside the building and looks like a man who does not believe in luck, but nods at it when it passes. Night finds the apartment warmer than usual. Mike takes off his shoes by the door like he did when he was 9 and had been told not to track in the yard. He drops onto the sofa with the weary grace of someone who learned this furniture with a smaller body. Evelyn brings him a glass of water. He holds it with both hands and does not drink. The city hushes in a way that is not silence. Tires hiss on wet streets. A neighbor above walks a path that the boards know. The refrigerator coughs back to life and stays. The window fogs. Evelyn wipes a small circle clear and leaves the rest. The first call comes just after midnight. A detective's voice states facts and nothing else. The address in Bexley, the presence of luggage by the door, 2 tickets in a folder on the hall table. Departure time before morning light. The names on the tickets are not the names she knows. The voices behind the detective are muted and purposeful. There is a clink that might be a radio against a belt. There is a click that could be a door finding its setting. "Thank you," Evelyn says. She sets the phone down and looks at Mike's sleeping face. He is not asleep. His eyes are closed. His breaths count themselves and miss by one every few minutes. She covers him with a quilt that has always been too bright for the room. At 3:12, the second call, the same voice. The structure has not changed. The words have. They are in custody. Passports held. Funds flagged. Statements to be taken in the morning. The voice thanks her for her cooperation and asks if she is safe. "I am," she says. She locks the door and lifts the chain. The metal touches metal. A clean, certain click. She stands there for a long time with her hand resting on the cool brass. "Mom," Mike says from the dark, not a boy's voice and not a man's voice either. Something between scraped and soft. "I am here," she says. He exhales. The apartment breathes with him. The window fogs and clears. The night stays where it is. Morning dries on the windows by degrees, a slow bleach from gray to clear. The quilt on Mike's shoulders slides when he stirs. Evelyn pours coffee and sets the cup on the table without a clink. The apartment smells like toast and warm dust. On the counter, the recorder sits wrapped in a handkerchief, quiet and small, a tool finished with its work. Days gather in neat pieces. The police station with its hum of printers. Signatures that stack on a form until the paper warms under the hand. A detective thanks her without flourish and returns the recorder across the table. The device looks lighter. She slides it into her purse and does not feel its shape after that. At the bank, Carol meets them near a desk with a rubber plant that shines like a promise. Carol keeps her voice even. A reversal is in progress. The figure will return in a block. The word block means 24 hours in a system that does not breathe. Mike's phone chirps later that day. 50,000 back. He looks at the screen a long time without touching it. Carol passes by on her lunch and taps the edge of Evelyn's notebook with one knuckle. A brief nod. No words. Paper keeps moving. An attorney reads the wedding like a contract someone wrote in steam and signs the line for fraud. A clerk stamps a page with a sound that satisfies the room. The deed to the house changes hands. Mike hands keys to a realtor with fingers that hold differently now. When he leaves the sidewalk in Bexley, he does not look back. He sleeps at Evelyn's for weeks, then months. Shoes by the door in pairs. 2 mugs rinsed and turned upside down to dry. Morning finds them shoulder to shoulder at the window. Mike wipes the fog away with a towel before it has time to gather. He does it without thinking. Pancakes appear on Sundays and leave the kitchen sweet and lemony. Nora drops in with soup that wears steam like a scarf and a crack about judges who take their time. They eat with the window open an inch. The apartment breathes easier. Mike asks about Naples while a pot simmers. He wants streets and smells, not dates. She gives him both. Fish in the morning with ice that turns to lace on the curb. Tomatoes that stain the hands. A church that tastes like candle smoke. A hospital with floors that never feel dry. She tells him the word for tide and the word for small knife and the way older women touch your face when they decide to take you in. He learns the sound of her past and keeps it close. The courtroom is cold and lit without mercy. Sienna wears a suit that means to be simple. Marisa sits very straight. The interpreter's headset breathes in their ears. The prosecutor speaks in clean lines. The judge dials numbers into a machine that counts years. 8. There is a paper shuffle that feels like a door closing. A metal clasp catches a wrist. The room empties in the deliberate way people leave a church. Evelyn watches without moving. She looks at their faces and finds nothing she needs to keep. Later, the story blooms on screens that do not know them. Headlines breathe in quick rhythms and fade. A reporter calls. Evelyn does not call back. She pulls the cord on the living room blind, lets the light recut the room, and drapes a new tablecloth on the table. The old white goes into a bag for rags. She chooses a red and cream check that looks like summer on a plate. There is a letter under her door one morning. Mike's handwriting climbs and leans. The paper smells faintly of printer ink and his jacket. She sits by the window and reads without haste. "You are the strongest person I know. My hero does not wear a cape." She wipes the glass clean. He thanks her for the second life, as if he has learned that gratitude is a practice, not a single event. She folds the letter twice and tucks it into the book she keeps by the bed. She buys a coat that is the right red, not loud, not shy. She tries it on and the mirror answers. Outside, the air is new. The street throws back the sun in pieces. She feels the weight of the coat and thinks only of color. A week later, Mike brings a coworker to the park on a Saturday that smells like cut grass. Leah comes with a paper bag of cinnamon rolls and a smile that does not press. Her shoes are sensible. Her eyes meet Evelyn's without calculating. They sit on a bench under a maple's early leaves, while the river moves like a thought beneath the bridge. So he told me about your pancakes, Leah says. He is a believer. He was easy to convert, Evelyn says. Leah laughs. It is not a performance. Mike watches both of them and does not rush to speak. He asks Evelyn if she wants more coffee and waits for her answer before he stands. It is a small thing. It lands where it should. When Mike drops her at home that afternoon, he carries a bag of groceries up the stairs and places it on the counter like it belongs there. He checks the chain before he leaves and lets it fall back into place. The metal touches metal. A clean click, not a warning, a comfort. Evening slides into the apartment without making a show of it. Evelyn turns the lamp on low. The new tablecloth glows. The window holds her shape for a second and then gives her back to the room. She lifts the lock, opens the door an inch, and takes in the corridor air. Then she closes it and the latch finds home. That sound belongs to her. She stands at the glass and breathes a small fog that fades before she can lift a hand. The city settles around her with its radios and buses and soft arguments through walls. She touches the letter in her pocket and feels the crease. She looks at her reflection and sees a woman in a red coat. Invisible was a season, not her name. Thank you so much for listening to today's story. If this story resonated with you or made you reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story.